Pratik is the youngest partner in VC industry in India. He has started a couple of startups earlier, and that's why he understands the entire ecosystem. He had a blog which was one of the leading blogs for mathematical puzzles. It was even that time, right? Which was very, very kind of high end in terms of mathematical puzzles. And let's start this show of Data AI Talks. And today, let us talk more about AI and data. Let us try to go slightly deep into this.
When we were studying in college, then as well, we used to have this course on AI. And then AI was, we would study about how to solve chess, how to solve Go, and how to, like, ant colony optimization was super fancy then. So AI was there then as well. And AI has been there since before we were born, because people have been talking about HAL 9000 right? since then. So I define AI as things that you think computers can't do what humans can do. And at all points of time, that thing changes. However, the new definition of AI came because of the ChatGPT launch 1.5 years back. And that, of course, changed everything around us. One thing I like to think about a lot, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more. One thing I like to think about a lot here, US is, like, so much innovation is happening in US. So many new models are getting created. So many new products are being created on LLMs. So many open source models are being created, etc. But what is happening in India? So my hypothesis is that we'll have smaller models, unlike America, which can, where Americans are competing on whose model is larger competition. I think we will have more voice first answers to our problems, which was not there, which is not needed in America as much. So in America, people are talking about text as a lot more, images a lot more. But in India, I think the form factor will be very different. And that is what is exciting me. India is in a unique place to figure out its own path of AI. And we are so early in it that everything seems unimagined right now.
So you think small language models is where the future is, at least from Indian perspective?
At least from India perspective.
Yeah, okay. But then how does anybody make money? See, my hypothesis is that people make money because the transformers are large. These are large models. So that means primarily who's going to make money is the hyper accelerators like Google, AWS, Amazon, because that's the people who are going to host these models. So if you go small, then obviously you cannot be large and then get that compute. So who makes the money in that case?
Exactly the point, that they will make most amount of money when large language models are being adopted better. But for vertical use case, in my opinion, you could train the model better and then have your own compute and have smaller compute resources, have smaller data models, and then solve your problem better. And actually it will be cheaper, which is supposed to be. India is a poorer country. For the same inference, anyways, because of our poor tokenization, we are significantly more expensive. We are 8x to 13x more expensive. But beyond that as well, we are just poorer country. We cannot afford to spend as much money on inferencing because our transaction costs are lower in life. So India needs to have smaller models. And hence will not pay enough to Google and Facebook. And that's why they are fighting back.
So typically VCs always, have something like a flavor, of the season. So earlier it was maybe education, edtech, sometimes it is something. And this time it is AI. And I think a lot of people feel that it's a fad. It's something which has happened and again it will go back to normal. What is the sense in the VC industry? Is this something as big as, internet? Is it something as big as, something revolutionary? How is the VC industry seeing it and why are they seeing it in that fashion?
So first of all, VC being excited about something is actually a good thing. It's actually a good thing because that wave of capital actually forces innovation and actually gets a lot of smart people to work on a problem statement, and something gets created in that, like just law of large numbers get applied and so many smart people are working on something, so something will work out. So VCs being excited about some space and waves is actually a good thing. If VCs were putting money in bursts or slowly, that means smartest people will not be working on it together. If 100 people are working on an idea, then one of them will figure out something and the space gets created. So it's actually a good thing. Adoption is happening super fast because all of us came to know about ChatGPT 15 days after the launch. Now the question I have is when computer also came, there was no killer application of computer, but everyone knew computers will do something. Spreadsheet was the first killer application of on computer. The first killer use cases of Uber and Instagram came 2 years after iPhone. What is the spreadsheet / Uber / Instagram of generative AI? We don't perhaps know that yet.
And again, generative AI seems to be in a hype cycle right now. So when do you see this hype going down? And then do you see it going up again?
Yeah,
What do you think?
Our standard hype cycle. Right now, everyone is there. Then when the hype cycle is on, some people will leave, but the best people will continue to operate, and that's when magical outcomes will come. And that's why a lot of people say it's 2 years. Now the hype cycle has sustained for 2 years, so I don't know how this will change the timeline. But in 2 years, typically the energy goes away, and then energy comes back.
Right. Yeah, I think 2 years ChatGPT will be November this year, right?
November
So
this year.
yeah.
Let us talk about some models like Hippocratic or models like Harvey, which works on legal, right? And these are models which have been trained and built using billions of dollars. And then suddenly we have something like Llama 3 coming or something, coming up from Google. Where do you see these? Will these models survive? What seems to be the fate of Harveys of the world, which have been built using so much specific legal data? Because they were built, I think, surely a year ago, and in 1 year things just go to a different level. So how do you guys see these things will survive or will they not survive?
I think the model for AI to imagine is its combination of data, compute, and model, like the fundamental model that you're using. What these open source models provide is a way for anyone to use their data and their compute and execute. I actually think that open source LLMs will have a right to win eventually. It's like Microsoft versus Linux long back. So Microsoft did not die, but because Linux was open source, Linux actually captured significant market share in some use case that was server use case. So similarly, open source LLMs have the right to win against closed source LLMs because of the inherent nature of it, them being open and not dependent on one corporate. So many enterprises would want to have one leg in the open source world, and hence that ecosystem will survive. Monetization, actually, it's easier here because compute anyways is expensive. So all compute providers will also support open source LLMs, and hence it would actually make sense. Now, so in my mind, open source LLMs will survive because of this fundamental nature of the ecosystem.
Fair enough. Great. I think so. We'll wrap this up. And so there are so many companies Nexus Venture Partners invested in. And Pratik he was the guy who discovered Whitehead Junior, right? Since, we have no more questions and we'll continue this discussion on a deeper level, right? Thanks everyone. And
thank you.
Let's thank Pratik, for sharing something. And in future, any one of you who's planning to do a startup, of course, PD and I will always encourage that. And our first call of port is always Pratik. Okay, you want funding, go to Pratik. He will manage that. Okay, that's how it works, right?
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.